Geno, Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you have talked at length and you've done so many things to take precautions, to go that extra mile. I wonder, when you look around the college landscape, if and when you see other figures in the game not doing the same thing, how you respond to it. What is there a level of frustration, feeling like maybe not everyone is pulling as hard as you are in terms of trying to get this season done?
Well, I just had this discussion with somebody both yesterday and today, appropriately. We thought we were doing everything right. And in November, right before Thanksgiving, we had to put a stop on what we were doing. And we thought we were doing everything right. And fast forward now, it's coming after Christmas, obviously. And a lot of people sent their teams home for Christmas. And some of those teams have had no problems. Some of those teams have had to pause. So you could jump in and say, well, you know what? They're not doing their part. But some of the people that stayed on campus and didn't go home, have had to shut down. And some of the teams that went home are still playing. It's frustrating for all of us in so many ways. Because the minute you start to think, what's wrong with these people? That could be you tomorrow making a phone call to another school saying, hey, look, we can't come. So as much as we all like to think all of us are doing what's best, in this particular case, there's no guarantee. There really isn't. All you can do is the best you can do and keep your fingers crossed. But it's unfortunate. And I don't even want to go beyond that and, talk about all the disruptions and all the disappointments that kids have faced and everybody's faced. We knew when we decided to play that we were going to be in for a roller coaster ride unlike any we've ever been on. And, if you're out there blatantly abusing the protocol system, that's on you. Only you know that. If it's just one of those things that no one can quite figure out how and why and where, it's just part of the deal, Howard. That's all I can tell you.
Thanks, Geno.
Doug Feinberg.
Hey, Geno, you pride yourself on playing a very tough schedule every year and your non-conference and such. You've had 3 games wiped out now with Baylor, Louisville, and Mississippi State. Across the country, I can't think of many non-conference top games this year. What do you do? You like playing everyone you can. How do you get ready for the NCAAs knowing that you don't have these games anymore? And just looking across the country, how they can figure out who's good and who's not based on no one really playing each other?
They're not. They're not going to be able to figure it out. They're not going to be able to figure out who belongs, who doesn't belong. It'll be like college football. The movie Casablanca, when Rick's Cafe gets raided by the police, just as a show to let the Germans know that we're still in charge here. And they show up and they go, round up the usual suspects. I think that's what's going to happen. When it all breaks down, just round up the usual suspects. Who's usually in the NCAA tournament? All right, send a letter saying they're in. College football playoff. Who are the 6 teams we like? All right, get those 4. Who's available? I mean, that's just what it's come down to now. Because there's no way to prove. I mean, it was a lot easier, obviously. You could go by, head-to-head, intersectional games, whatever the case you want. But it just doesn't exist anymore. So there really is no way. And Doug, to the point that after they announced the NCAA tournament, are you sure that the top teams are even going to make it to Texas if something doesn't happen along the way from the time the announcement goes out till you get on the plane? So I don't think anybody knows anything. You just maybe I can deal with this a little better than most people because I've been living my whole life like this. I have no idea what the hell's coming next. So I just wake up in the morning and deal with what I see that day. But it's been picking 64 teams is hard enough as it is because you're always leaving out somebody that deserves to be in. And when it's all over, you go, they should be in. And then you go, okay, tell me who should come out. And you can't say who should come out. You just say there should be more people in. Well, now when they do announce the tournament, how about this? We may make the selection committee happy where there may only be 64 teams that are still playing on those days. So it'd be an easy invite.
Thanks, Coach.
Pat, you and Rob.
What?
Coach, whenever you do get to play next, you will have a chance to tie Pat Summitt's win total. Obviously, your relationship evolved over the years. When you think of Pat and you think of doing this now, what comes to mind? What are your memories? What are your thoughts about joining her with this?
Well, our crack SID, Anna Levante, just came up to me the other day and started talking to me about all these things, up in the air, about, hey, if you win one more game, then this is the number. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then if you win 2 more, you get to here. And then if this and then that, and then, and I kind of like, because to me, Tara Vanderveer is the all-time winningest coach in women's basketball history. Pat being Pat and Geno being Geno, we have a long history. So if that didn't exist, I don't know that we'd be talking about it like this at all. We'd be talking about, hey, you're not that far behind Tara. But because it's Pat and because of our history, when the conversation did come up, it did make me think about how if you're around long enough, how everything, the world spins, and it spins you in a lot of different directions. But one thing for sure, what was old becomes new, and what is new becomes old. They say that all the time. Back when Pat, God bless her, was alive and coaching and winning championships, everybody in America would talk about Pat in 2 ways. One, man, I admire her so much. She wins so much. She does it the right way. She has the respect of everybody for everything. Then you had another part of the population that would go, man, I want to beat her butt so bad. I want to beat Tennessee so bad. They roll into the Final Four like they own the goddamn place. Who the hell do they think they are? One of these days, la, 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 la. And you go around, then you go around, and you go around. And then you wake up one morning and you pick up any place that you read and everybody goes, goddamn Geno Auriemma. He thinks he's so funny. They roll into the Final Four like they own the goddamn place. I don't care who wins the national championship as long as it's not them. And I start to laugh, and I go, oh my God. You know, you've reached a point where you have people admire what you've done, and you have the other side that don't want you to win anymore. So the more games that we win and the further we go, whatever, I think the more admirers we attract, and the more people that don't want us to win anymore we attract. And I admire Pat for the way she handled that all those years, because I don't think I'm handling it as well as she did. You know, she had a lot more restraint and a lot more, you know, sense than I do. And that's probably what I miss about her. She was always able to look past all the, you know, the trivial stuff and concentrate on the big stuff. And maybe someday I'll grow into that role.
Alexa, you want to go ahead?
Hey, Geno.
Hey.
Are you guys looking to try and add a game now that Baylor is not happening? Is it? I mean, you do have a little bit of time before Saturday. I know some people are already talking about.
How many people we have on this call?
25.
25.
25. You guys want to put together a couple teams? You guys, right? Like, you all know how to play and coach. How about we slap some uniforms on you 25 and we give it a shot? We're free Thursday night.
Let's go.
Carol Stiff, we got this game on TV. I don't care who your point guard is. Seriously, pick out the tallest guy, pick out the shortest guy, better yet, pick out somebody who's never played college basketball. Let me cover the game. Let me write about it. That has a better chance of happening probably than us finding a game at this late date. We have a plane on hold tomorrow. We were supposed to leave at 2 o'clock, 2:30, whatever. So we could get on a plane tomorrow and fly someplace and play. It won't be a home game if we do play, because this was going to be a big ESPN extravaganza, you know, with their #1 crew and the whole thing. So if Carol's listening, if Carol can find somebody between now and, what time is it, 3:29?
23 hours.
Between now and 3:30, Carol, you got 1 minute, because after that, I'm going to lose interest. And you know what's funny? Alexa, you know what's funny? I bet you if Carol got on the phone, somebody would want to play because something like this just happened to them, or it just happened 2 days ago, and now they're going a week without playing, whatever the case may be. So I'm sure there's somebody out there. I just don't know if it could ever be put together that quickly, which is a shame, because my players have really been really good about practicing. And I say that loosely because I got a young team that hates to practice, but they've been really good about showing up every day and getting ready to play the next game. And these last couple of days, they've really been ready. Like, these last couple of days, practices have been different because they know what was coming. They know if we get on a plane and fly down to Baylor and we're not ready, bad things are gonna happen. So I'm really disappointed for them that they're not getting an opportunity to go down and play. Win, lose, get blown out, doesn't matter. I think they just wanted to be on the court with, you know, with a team of that caliber that could whack us really good. So I feel bad that every opportunity that's come along where they had an opportunity to face that sort of thing, it's been denied them. But I get it. And when I told them, they were really disappointed. Obviously, they thought I was kidding at first, but then they realized I wasn't kidding. But we could play the game. Obviously, we will play it, but I don't know what we could find right now.
Are the issues with potentially like trying to add a game more so just the logistics of the timing and getting there? Or is there any also part of a challenge because conferences are having different testing protocols and maybe some conferences or some schools are testing at a different frequency? Is that an issue at all? Is it mostly just logistics?
That we don't know, because let's put it this way. Here's the issues that go into something like this. One, we have to find an opponent on the road at their place, which sounds attractive for them. 2, they want to play. 3, their testing is in order. Everything's been done. They're documented, blah, 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 blah. Can all those things happen? They probably could, but I don't know. I'm not holding out much hope. Because let's take the ACC, for instance. Jeff Walls and I have been talking back and forth the last couple of weeks about trying to find a time when we could play. And every time something does come up that could look possible, something comes up that makes it impossible. And, you know, that seems to be the case for a lot of schools and a lot of conferences. Just when you think, hey, I think we can work this out, boom. You know, somebody could say, hey, Connecticut's free. And then all of a sudden, you know, we get a phone call and say, hey, listen, you're going to have to play so-and-so on Thursday, a conference games, because they just lost a game. The circumstances, the possibilities are just, they're just impossible. They're impossible.
Michelle, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Coach Auriemma,
Yeah.
is it, I know that both programs have used the word canceled for Baylor. Is it a situation where that in particular is a matchup that wouldn't be rescheduled? Because like I said, I know you and Jeff have been trying to do the Louisville game, but is Baylor completely off the books, you think, for the rest of the season? Or is that just depending on how their COVID situation turns out?
I don't know, Michelle. That's a good question. You could say it's canceled. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you say, a game that Baylor had in the middle of the week is gone, and a game that we had in the middle of the week is gone. And you're on the phone going, hey, remember that game? Can we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Boom, it's back on. I don't think anything's on for sure, and I don't think anything's off for sure. The way I see the way things have been evolving.
And do you generally feel like if you got 24 hours notice, you could go or play anywhere? I mean, I don't know if you could do it in any less than 24 hours, but is your mindset kind of like, if we get that much time, we'll do it?
Yeah. You know, we need to be healthy and we need to make sure that everybody's good to go though. You know, we've had a couple kids with some injuries that have limited their playing time in practice, limited their time in games. So if we have 3 or 4 games scheduled in 10 days and, you know, something breaks and something happens, given the time frame, if there's enough time, yeah. And you know something else? This is true too, Michelle. A month ago, I might not have said this. A month ago, I may have said, look, I just don't think we're going to do anything rash or anything. But now, seeing how many games get canceled over and over and over again, if there's a slim possibility that you could play a game, the way I'm thinking today, I would take it no matter what I had to go through to get to that game.
Thank you.
Eric Dobratz.
Hey, Coach. Just a few minutes ago, you were saying how the players are doing a really good job with practicing. How are you doing with practicing? You coach to coach games. I mean, is this practice thing, are there some days you wake up and go, man, I just want to coach a game. I want to work the sidelines. I'm sick of looking at you guys, you know, all these days in a row. I need a game.
You just sounded like every one of my players talking to me. Hey, coach, you know what? I can't wait for us to play because I'm sick of listening to you at practice. We're all tired of each other. We all want to be in a game situation. Well, uniforms on and playing, you know, it's not like it used to be, but playing somebody else, keeping score, officials, it matters. It's, you know, in the standings, it's whatever the case may be. there's practice, and very few opportunities to actually work on what you're practicing is very, very frustrating. As much for me as it is for the players, no question about it.
Pat, Rob, you want to go again?
Sure. Geno, you had mentioned Texas a little bit earlier. Is there any clarity now about how the tournament will happen, if it happens, and where it's going to happen? What have you been told? What do you expect?
You know, people think NCAA headquarters is a big place. And if you've ever been there, it is. But the women's basketball, men's basketball, the basketball people really kind of work pretty close together, you know? So when you read and you see that the entire men's basketball tournament is going to be played in Indiana, notice they said Indiana, not Indianapolis, then you can try to figure out, okay, well, what does it look like around Indianapolis? And how far away are we talking? So when you hear that the women's tournament is going to be in San Antonio, then you should be thinking, what's it look like around San Antonio, and how many different places is the NCAA tournament going to be taking place within that greater San Antonio area? And that's probably what's going to happen. 64 teams are going to show up in Texas on a particular date, and you're going to play the NCAA tournament through the Final Four in Texas. That's probably, no one's giving me a schedule of sites and dates and times, but you can be pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. And I think it's a good way to go about it. You know, the eliminating of travel. You show up, people go, I don't want to be cooped up for 3 weeks. You don't have to. Just lose your first game and you can go home after 2 or 3 days. Just relax. No one's going to put a gun to your head and make you stay there.
Alexa, you want to go ahead?
So I'm not sure how much you can speak to this, but the Baylor announcement made it sound like Kim saw someone that contracted the virus on Christmas, but then hadn't been around the team after that. Even like, obviously she wasn't there for the TCU game. So was there a possibility on, of having the team still continue to play if she hadn't been around them and thus they weren't exposed, or was that not, I'm not sure exactly how that happened. Were they just trying to be careful?
Here's what I know, and I'll tell you what I know. I know Kim was not at the TCU game, and I read that she was in quarantine because of her contact tracing, and that she was going to be available for our game Thursday night. And then I heard today we're not playing, and I don't know what the statement said because I haven't read it. So did the statement say that Kim contacted coronavirus? That she tested positive?
Yes.
Coronavirus. It said that she never returned back after the holidays for team activities because she was quarantining.
Okay.
Obviously tested positive today or yesterday.
Did the statement say that anyone else tested positive?
Just said her, but they have to do more testing.
So maybe there's not just Kim, but maybe there's someone else in the program that is also in that situation. I don't know. I can only go by, what I'm hearing. And this happened, right towards the end of our practice. And then I've been here and there everywhere trying to figure out what we're doing next. So I haven't even read the statement, and I don't know the full story other than maybe what we just talked about.
Okay. Thanks.
Charlie, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, Geno. Happy New Year.
Hey.
You mentioned the kids like prepping differently in practice leading up to this week. What I guess is lost in not playing these top 10 games, and just how much they're able to grow from these matchups, especially early in the season, and then having these ones in January?
sometimes that's a look. Obviously, I would like to think that every one of these games that you play is great preparation for what's coming down the road. You know, obviously. But I do remember also back in the mid 90s when we were playing in the Big East that didn't have the powerhouse teams that we ended up having in the Big East. And they used to call us Connecticut and the Big Least. And, you know, I remember, a matter of fact, actually in 95, we played Tennessee and we played at Kansas. And that was it. And then everybody else was in our league. And we won a national championship. I remember playing Dayton in Albany. Everybody's like, who is Dayton play? How are they going to handle this? We're losing at halftime. So, I mean, like, I don't know that if you're a pretty good team, you're going to be pretty good throughout, you know, you're going to get better as the season goes on. Is it ideal to play all these games? Absolutely, or I wouldn't schedule them. But I schedule them more because, you know, they're fun to play in. Because, you know, you could also get your butt beat in a lot of these games and completely ruin your confidence as a young team and not be able to play in the NCAA tournament because your kids never recover from that. So it works both ways, you know? So we've lost out an opportunity to play 3 really good teams so far. But I don't know that that's going to, let's put it this way. I hope that doesn't, you know, if we don't go as far as we could, I don't think it's going to be because we didn't get to play some of these games.
Is this a group, to follow up on that, where, I mean, because the season has been so up and down, the confidence has kind of already been tested, or is that something you just need to see in a really close game like that to be able to judge?
I mean, when you have a lot of young players that are going to be playing a lot of meaningful, significant minutes, yeah, you'd like to have them be in those situations more often to be able to see how they may or may not react. And a lot of times, you know, you like to be able to go on the road and see how teams react. But now being on the road, if there's no fans, that's kind of going away as well. You can build, you know, you can build confidence in your team by how you practice and what you do in practice and how well you grow in practice. And, you know, there's a lot of ways to monitor whether you're getting better, not just on game day and not just who you're playing against. So in an ideal world, all that stuff would be true that you're talking about. And then this year, I don't know if it's, you know, because it just may not be possible. I don't know. So one saving grace is other people are not going to be in that situation either. So it's not like we're the only ones missing out on that.
Roger, you want to go ahead?
Geno, how is this group of kids, their mental toughness and all that, are they handling it all pretty well? I mean, can you see them, you know, continuing to practice hard and just bouncing back each time?
They have. Each time that something's happened, they have. And don't get me wrong, it's not like, you know, I'm not doing cartwheels about how hard our guys practice. But that's more a reflection of the world that we live in. Forget COVID. That's got nothing to do with, that's a whole separate issue of whether kids practice hard anymore. That's a whole nother issue. COVID's got nothing to do with that. But in terms of like not knowing, is there a game, not going to be a game, you know, they're doing their best and they're hanging in there. They really are. They're hanging in there. And I'm pleasantly surprised that they're hanging in there. And They each have their ups and downs individually. You know, you could see it. Some days, some kids are down. Some days kids are up. But I think that's just normal. I think the COVID thing is more about the uncertainty of knowing games.
Michelle, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, Coach. You know, you always give your, you know, especially the freshmen who are standouts, you sort of give them all kind of different leadership goals in some ways based on their personality. We see somebody like Paige. I know she was on the Wooden Award top 30 preseason. I'm assuming when the midseason thing comes out, she's still going to be on that. So she's really been, you know, superlative. But what are sort of the goals you give her, especially in a season like this with so much is uncertain? Are there certain things you're telling her you're looking for her from her specifically?
Well, you are right about freshmen getting, I don't know how it is at other schools, but I know here freshmen do get a lot of leeway to be what they can be. A lot in a lot of ways. You know, people think, oh, you go to Connecticut when you're a freshman and this is going to happen, that's going to happen, this is going to happen. Our freshmen get away with murder. They can do whatever the hell they want. And I always preface it by saying they have an excuse. They're freshmen. Some freshmen, though, when they get here, they're so good, and I know they're good, and they know they're good. They don't have it so easy here. So somebody like Paige is really good. Paige is really good. And I'm not boasting, but if I talk to every single coach in America and they told you they'd rather have their freshman than Paige, I would tell you they're only saying that to be nice to their own players. Because there's things that they've seen Paige do that no other freshman can do. So what are my goals for Paige? My goals for Paige are to be, Paige, listen, this is your first year in college. So these are the mistakes you're going to make. Having said that, Paige, if you play like a freshman, we're going to lose. So no pressure or anything. And I don't want you to like not sleep good at night, but I'm telling you right now, if you play like a freshman, we're going to lose. So how you feel? You okay with that? And the look on her face is like, well, why would I expect anything different? So with some freshmen, you can treat them like juniors and seniors. And that's how I treat Paige. So in my mind, there isn't anything Paige can't do on the court. Now, having said that, if Paige practices every practice like it's a game and there's 5 minutes left and it's tied, then I would tell you she'll win National Player of the Year. But she's not there yet. She don't know how to do that yet. So there's a lot of growing that she has to do in terms of how to sustain something for 2 hours, how to sustain something for 40 minutes, how to keep that concentration level at that level for 40 minutes, not just in a close game, not just in a tight spot. And that will happen soon. And when it does, then she's good. I mean, she's good. She's good.
Thank you.
Donnie, I think that might be the last question.
I like to throw her off the team half the time, but she's really good.
Hey, Geno, it's good seeing you. There's several 2021s that have entered in college early because of COVID-19 and suited up. Did you think about adding some of your studs in the 2021 class to this season?
Well, there's a
At
couple
all?
factors. There's a couple factors that go into that, right? One, I assume, one, they have to have finished high school, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, so that means they would have to have finished high school before even January 1st, correct?
Correct.
All right, so that's not necessarily easy to do. So somehow or another, they were able to pull that off. Good for them. Okay. Number two, you have to have a school that's willing to work with you and give you a diploma without going the other half of the year. Now, to some kids, they don't care if I get a diploma from here or not. I just don't want to be in high school anymore because they cancel my season. Let's just say. And then a kid has to be mature enough to be able to say, yeah, listen, I want to go play, at the number 3 ranked team in the country, and I'm only in high school, and I think I can hang. I think I could play there right now. Where are we with our players? Well, one, they're still in high school at their high school. If and when, since it is become an issue and people are doing it, if all of a sudden our 4 incoming freshmen find out, hey, my season's canceled, I can finish school tomorrow, coach, can I come? That hasn't happened yet. That doesn't mean it won't. That doesn't mean it will. I'm just saying it hasn't happened yet.